So guys, Peter Obi didn't find it easy after he sent a congratulatory message to the ex-president of Nigeria, the military ruler, the person of Gowon. And guess what? The Igbos, together with other people, didn't find that message, very funny. They were not happy. Some of them said Peter Obi is congratulating him because he's so desperate to become president of Nigeria. Some of them said Peter Obi is reducing himself, as in people were saying all kinds of things, against Peter Obi. I'm going to let you watch the reaction of Rufai and other Arise television crew. Just take a look at what they've got to say. And moreover, Peter Obi is telling the Igbos and others who are supporting the Igbos to let go. Honestly, you need to watch this video. This is coming after Gowon came out to say that the Biafran war was meant to unite Nigeria. So the question remains, are we united today? Does it mean that the purpose of that war wasn't achieved? You can imagine how Nigeria is today, especially when it has to do with the Igbos. Igbos are hated back and front in this country. So the essence of that war, he said it was to, unite the country. But today the country is not united. So the purpose of that war has still not been accomplished. Let me allow you to take a look at the reactions. Take a look.
Former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi has come under fire on social media after celebrating former military head of state Yakubu Gowon, who turned 90 over the weekend. Obi, in a post on X on Saturday, extolled Gowon, saying that his life of service to our great nation Nigeria stands as one of sacrifice, leadership, and unity. His tweet read in part: "In a time of hate, you stood for love. At a time of strife, you stood for peace. At a time of division, you stood for unity. Your steadfast commitment to preserving the peace and sovereignty of Nigeria during a challenging period in our history will forever be remembered and revered. Your exemplary leadership and statesmanship remain an inspiration to younger and many generations of Nigerians." Well, Peter Obi's birthday wishes to Gowon was heavily criticized by a cross-section of Nigerians who blame Gowon's regime for the death of millions of Biafrans. Well, in a follow-up post on Sunday, Peter Obi defended his message, saying that he needed to demonstrate to the world that true heroism lies in forgiving the enemy and moving forward. Well, his tweet reads in part: "Indisputably, the darkest part of our 64-year journey as a nation is the 30 months of civil war from 1967 to 1970. And God Almighty, whose way is not our way, must have a reason why he kept the chief persecutor of the war, who is General Gowon, alive to be 90 years today, and the man who saw the end of the war, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, to be there at 87 years, superheading all the moves to see a reconciled and just Nigeria. There was also a developing new spirit, while the same country, Nigeria, gave the Biafra leader, Dim Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, a heroic national burial on 2nd March 2012, when he joined his ancestors, coincidentally, under my tenure as governor of Anambra State. The status of the burial given to Dim Ojukwu remains the boldest indication to the world that Nigeria as a country is disposed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation." Well, let me take one of the reactions that went viral after Peter Obi put out that tweet on Saturday. This is from George. He wrote, "He sacrificed millions of your own people for unity. Unity without cohesion and love is a disservice to humanity." I mean, I believe Peter Obi also, in the tweet he put out on Saturday, did mention that his father died during the Civil War. Let me take another tweet from Dr. Maduka, who wrote, "Peter Obi, why are you this desperate? You are so desperate you can't speak the truth to power. Gowon that attacked Biafra and killed millions of Igbo, including deliberately starving to death millions of innocent children of Biafra, is the man you said stood for peace and stood for love. You are one of those that have enslaved Igbo. You know, this reaction was also one of those reactions that, you know, was trending when they said, you know, they're saying that Peter Obi is so desperate and that's why he had to, you know, congratulate Yakubu Gowon in the manner that he did. But, you know, he talked about reconciliation a lot. Let me take another tweet from Pablox, who wrote, "Those involved made peace, but children of anger who weren't born in that era are still holding on to the war. In war, people win or lose. They die or live. Daily you ask God and your neighbor for forgiveness, but your heart is filled with bitterness and evil for others." Well, this Pablox had posted a picture of General Yakubu Gowon and the late Ojukwu. And with that caption, they wrote, "Wartime enemies, Emeka Ojukwu and Yakubu Gowon reconcile at the former residence in Enugu, 40 years after the end of the Nigerian Civil War, 2010. Hashtag history vile." But like you saw in his second part of the tweet, why he praised Gowon. He talked about the fact that, you know, we should continue to remain steadfast in our forgiveness. And as you saw also in that picture that I put out, Rufai, General Yakubu Gowon and Ojukwu actually met 40 years after.
Definitely they did meet. So a couple of things. I mean, I see the reaction from a lot of people against what Peter Obi said. Yes, because of the Civil War. And the magnitude of the pain of the Civil War has not gone away. In fact, when you hear some people say, they speak about life before and after the Civil War. And we should never forget the incident that led to the Civil War. We should never forget that there was an elections in 64 to 65 that opened the doors for the Civil War. And apart from Ojukwu and Gowon, Gowon was just that prosecutor, and Ojukwu was head of the Eastern region when the war finally started, was the real political actors and what they did from 1960 to about the 64 elections. And all the shenanigans they did. Don't forget, it was also that time we had Wetie in the Wild Wild West, as it was called. And when you look at what happened after the Civil War, the reintegration has not been complete. A lot of people, Igbos have a right to complain. The marginalization is still there. And that's why people like me campaigned heavily for an Igbo presidency in the last election, so that we can have a balancing axis where we return to democracy. Oji, apart from the things that are said and not said, my greatest fear is that the way our politicians behaved in the 60s that led to the Civil War, most of our politicians are still behaving like that till today. The sad reality on ground is today is the fact that we have not led anything for the Civil War. And if care is not taken, we can repeat the mistakes of the past easily. And that's my greatest fear. It's not what has been said or not been said. I mean, there are arguments across on both sides. The Gowon camp too can make the argument that, okay, where did the first plane jacking happen that led to the war? Who shot the first bullet that led to the war and all of that? We can go back and forth. Nigerians were killed in that Civil War. People were killed from the Eastern region, which was wrong, which was abhorrent. But the problem is, close to 50 years after, Oji, we are still making those mistakes that we made that led us to a Civil War. Take, for instance, look at one of this political class that Dr. Bati was talking about this morning. People that feel that they are larger than life. That they control estates when there are people there that vote in elections in the states. And look at them. Look at the political class. Look at the pain and hardship that's happening in Nigeria today. Look at some people feeling that it's all about them. Look at the ethnic baiting that happened at the last elections. Look at what happened in Lagos and other parts of the country. Look at how we still vote. The political leaders then share a lot of blame. And how did they do it then? They used media to confuse the minds of a lot of people. Most of our top political founding fathers had media outfits. Don't forget that. They were owners of newspapers. And with them, they sipped into our consciousness this ethnic malaise we have today. So my fear is that many years, and I like the reconciliation picture you put out.
Yeah. I thought it was
many years, Gowon and Ojukwu had their own personal beef, even after Aburi, pre-Aburi and after Aburi. We have a new political class that have not learned lessons from those wars. I mean, Gowon is still around. Ojukwu is long gone.
Yeah.
But we have a political class that have not learned lessons from those wars. And that's my sad part in all of this.
Yeah. Well, I think that there is wisdom in forgiveness. There's wisdom in reconciliation. I mean, happy birthday to Yakubu Gowon. He turned 90. And, you know, I guess that the story out there for a lot of our young people, the history that was removed from the past, I guess they can go ahead and read up on the history of Nigeria and the Civil War. Well, it's good that Peter Obi has called for forgiveness.
So, guys, you have seen it for yourself. Honestly, the injury in the hearts of the Igbos is still there. I mean, that injury is still there. And that is why people think it would be wise for this government to call the Igbos together. Let there be a roundtable talk. See how you can pacify the hearts of these people. Yes, we're told that Gowon tried to, like, ask for forgiveness and all those, but it was not followed up with actions. You can't just come and ask people for forgiveness, you know, verbally, without any strategy to, like, make that forgiveness to be a reality. I think that is where they are getting it wrong. As in, we're told that, you know, Gowon even came to Ojukwu during when Ojukwu was still alive, just to, like, send that message or send that signal that he is here for peace, something like that. But guess what? The Igbos are still suffering marginalization. The Igbos are not feeling belong. The Igbos are being threatened. The Igbos are being asked to go home. The Igbos has a whole lot of things happening when it comes to the Igbos. So the question remains, how do we get out of this? How do we really unify this country? If Gowon really said, if he really meant it, that the Biafran War was meant to unify this country, how come that till today, the opposite is what we are experiencing, as in that unity is not there. That unification is not there. The government is not even trying its best. Honestly, the Southeast has really suffered so much, as in the backwardness is unbelievable when it comes to the presence of the federal government in the Southeast. The government don't care about the Igbos, and all these things still point to the fact that there was a Biafran war. Because that war was there, that is why they don't believe the Igbos can be trusted. The Igbos cannot be military, cannot be military head of state, cannot be handle position like the EFCC. The Igbos cannot. Key positions are not being given to the Igbos. And they said they are reconciling the Igbos. So, guys, a whole lot is happening in this country. And I think it's good that Kenneth Okonkwo has come out to fire back at Gowon, telling Gowon, it's as a result of your incompetence. That was why that war happened. Because when people were crying that they were being marginalized, you care not to bring them together on a round table and have a discussion with them. You didn't bother to talk to them. The North wanted power at all costs. Even at the time, the North felt they wanted to be on their own. And then, you know, they were told that, okay, if you be on your own, remember the money is in the Southeast. The money is down. You will suffer for hunger. And that is why the North stayed with Nigeria, still stay in Nigeria. So it's because of the resources, not for the love that the North has for this country. So, guys, this thing has really revealed so much about the Biafran War and the state of Nigeria. Honestly, there is still not that unity that can keep us together. And I think that is what this government should be looking at. See how you can bring the Igbos together. See what you can do to bring the Igbos, to pacify people, to make them happy, to, like, make them feel belong. I think this is for any government that can come in and solve this problem and solve all the problems of Nigeria. Because as it stands now, everybody is mindful of his own tribe, his own people. Nobody is mindful of Nigeria as an entity. But everybody, segregation, division. You know, how can we work together with all this? So, guys, let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell. Thank you.